Elephants in the room.
Okay, so did you hear like the tapping?
Yeah,
the
it's
beating?
when my voice was getting too high.
Well, no, when it gets to the end, then you start. So like when
Oh,
you
so I start
started,
now.
it was yeah. So when you started, it wasn't even
Oh,
it
okay,
hadn't
okay,
gone
okay,
into it
gotcha.
yet.
Hi guys, welcome back to Elephants in the Room. I'm so excited for this episode. I have like so much energy for no reason because I stayed up pretty much all night and got no sleep. So that's okay. We're just going to do this anyways. I'm just going to be real with you guys. I'm like I just touched my lighting. We're good. I'm in a little bit of a rush. I actually have a flight in like 2.5 hours. So we're just going to do this real quick. And then I'm going to go hop on my flight. I'm going to LA for a friend's wedding. Super exciting. But yeah, guys, I have something very important to talk about today, and it has been very real in my life recently. So we're just going to dive right in. We're going to skip all the mumbo jumbo and just get to the good stuff. So I have a couple questions for you guys. Are you feeling overwhelmed or burnt out? Are you feeling mentally, emotionally, or physically drained? Are you having trouble sleeping, eating, or being able to fall asleep at night without your brain constantly thinking and constantly worrying? Have you been feeling angry or depressed? Are you experiencing headaches, stomach sickness, or muscle soreness and tenseness? If you are experiencing these things, you may be dealing with stress. Oh, stress. Stress is probably one of the most present things in my life. I feel like I am stressed all the time. All the time, I feel stressed. And there's a lot of factors that go into this. But guys, stress is a real thing. And I spent the last couple hours researching about stress. And as I was like watching and researching all these things, I was like kind of shaken up because I was like, dang, like this is a real thing. And there's like serious side effects, and it really can like hurt our bodies and our brains long term if we don't deal with it. So I want to talk about stress today. So if you guys have experienced any of those things, first of all, my heart goes out to you because stress is like not good, and it's stressful. Stress is stressful, okay? It's stressful to be stressed, and it's stressful to realize you're stressed and not know how to deal with it. I want to tell you guys about a time when I really started to understand my stress. So I really started to understand my stress when I started to go to therapy. You guys know I'm a huge advocate for therapy. It has helped me so much in my life. But I remember when I first went in to meet my therapist, she did like, a whole analysis on me and some testing and stuff to see what my issues are. And she looked at me after and was like, so you have high anxiety and high panic. And I was like, cool, awesome. I think I knew that, but yeah. Okay, cool. And it became very real in that moment just because I was like, okay, shoot, like this is a real thing. Not to say that it wasn't a real thing before, but I guess just sitting there with a therapist and acknowledging it, I was like, okay, gosh, like here we go. Now, stress comes from a variety of things, but our body goes into fight or flight. When we feel tension or something feels like unsafe, or we know that we need to like react to something, our body, goes into stress. So in certain situations, it's a good thing. Like obviously, if you're trying to protect yourself in an unsafe situation, you go into fight or flight. That's good. Now, the problem is when we get stressed in our everyday life and we're constantly in fight or flight. Now, I also want to touch on this because I feel like this is important. The stress that you go through when you are in a toxic or abusive relationship is insane. As you guys know, I had what we would call a toxic relationship, and my body was so stressed out all the time. All the time, I was in fight or flight mode, and it just felt like I could never rest. It felt like I could never calm down. It felt like my whole body was just tense all the time. My brain was tense all the time. And to be frank with you guys, I still feel a lot of that. I feel that a lot less now because I'm in a healthy relationship. But there are times in my relationship when things are rocky that I feel myself fall back into that trigger, and I fall back into that stress and into that fight or flight. And then also in my, personal life with work and, just daily life things. So I want to be honest with you guys. I also think that stress stems a little bit from trauma. And when we are traumatized as a young child, we kind of carry that over, and our body just never gets a break. It never gets to rest. And I'm going to tell you something that my therapist told me once that I value and love so much. And it's that you can trick your brain into thinking you're okay, but you can't trick your body. So if you're enduring a lot of stress all the time, and you're enduring really hard situations all the time, whether it's a workplace, a relationship, a traumatic event, whatever it is that's stressing you out in your life, if you're experiencing those things, you can maybe practice mindful things to trick your brain into being oh yeah, I'm fine. I'm totally fine. But I'm going to tell you something, your body will always catch up, and you cannot trick your body. So when your brain tries to trick itself and be I'm fine, I'm fine, I'm fine, your body won't do that. Your body will shut down. Your body will shut down. And I've experienced this. And I remember when I was recovering from my divorce and starting to heal from my childhood trauma, I was so exhausted all the time. Literally, I had zero energy for anything. I felt like every day I woke up and a bus had just hit me, and I was I feel like crap. And I asked my therapist, because I was so frustrated. I said, Carrie, I'm doing all these things. I'm exercising. I'm working on my healing. I'm reading my Bible. I'm doing all these things. I'm eating good to combat this stress and combat this exhaustion. Yet I'm so exhausted all the time. Why am I so exhausted all the time? And she was like, Nicole, you have endured 18 plus years of extremely traumatic events. And because of that, your body has been in fight or flight since you were a child. So now that you're finally not in a dangerous situation, your body is recovering from that. Your body, it's catching up to your body. And honestly, I believe that it aged me, everything. The stress, people always say stress ages you. I feel like my health, I have to do a lot of things, I feel for my health to be in line. If I'm not eating good and I'm not exercising and I'm not sleeping, if I'm not doing everything right, I feel I have a very weak immune system. I get sick very easily. And that's actually another sign of stress, is if you do get sick easily, it's because your immune system has crashed, which let's dive into this a little bit. So stress shuts down our immune system and can really affect our physical health when it's prolonged. So short-term stress obviously is not good, but we all go through stressful things in our lives. Again, whether that's work, whether that's a relationship, whether that's a traumatic event, whether that's a change in your life, whether that's moving to a new location, maybe you're struggling with a health condition. There's so many factors. There's so many things that can stress us out. And it's normal. It is normal. Most things in life are stressful. I don't know anything even good in life that doesn't have stress to it. Relationships are stressful. Friendships are stressful. There are parts of those things that are stressful. Having a good job that you love can be stressful at times. Pursuing your dreams can be stressful at times. Chasing after goals, that can be stressful at times. Trying to manage and do everything can be stressful. Everything can be stressful. So that's not to say we should get rid of everything that stresses us out in our lives. But I think it is important to learn how to work through that stress. Now, as I'm sitting here talking to you guys, I just want to be so transparent. Last night, I was so freaking stressed out. I literally called David. It was 3 a.m. I'm so exhausted. I just want to go to sleep. I just want rest. My brain, the second I hit my pillow, my whole body tenses up. My neck tenses up. My arms tense up. And my brain is just starting to think of all these things. And I'm like, can you just shut down, brain? Can you just chill out? Why are you going a million miles per hour? I just want to be able to sleep. I just want rest. And then, I was all tensed up. And I had a really stressful day at work. And there were some things that happened, and not to get too in depth, but my stress has been at an all-time high because my work situation is very stressful right now, and I have to make a decision and have to make a move and a change, and I'm scared out of my mind, so scared out of my mind, because change stresses me out. Moral of the story, something really stressful happened at work yesterday. I had to have a very stressful conversation with myself and with some of the people that I work with to try to make a plan and decide what I want to do. And oh my gosh, it built up. And then I got home, and when I talked to David, I said, I'm just a little overwhelmed. I'm stressed. I'm scared. I don't know what to do. And, you know, when I was finally able to let out some of those emotions, I just started crying. And it was just this sense of, I wasn't even sad. I just was so overwhelmed. It just felt like tears started flowing out of me, and I just felt so out of control of my body. And I just was like, please, God, give me rest, please. And David prayed with me, and he read the Bible to me for like 20 minutes. And I, you know, even though I did feel a lot more peace, I still just couldn't get myself to rest. And then finally, like 30 minutes later, I was able to sleep for a couple hours. And thank you, Jesus, for giving me a little bit of good rest before my flight today. But guys, I've been experiencing some serious stress in my life. And that's why I wanted to do this episode today, because I was like, I'm so stressed out, and I just want to be honest with these people. I have to work full time. I have a long distance boyfriend, which I'm so very grateful for. And then I'm also pursuing this dream of elephants in the room, which I love elephants in the room, but it is very time consuming. And so I'm away from my family. I'm away from my friends. And life's just stressful. It's so stressful for me. I get so defeated sometimes because I'm like, Nicole, you've got this. Like, this isn't that hard. Just do X, Y, and Z. And then for whatever reason, like, I just sometimes get discouraged because I'm like, I just can't handle it all. It's too much for me. It's too much for my body. It's too much for my brain. And I just feel like my body is shutting down. My brain is shutting down. And I'm just like not okay. I feel depressed. I feel sad. I feel anxious. I'm so scared about the future. I am in the middle of this spot where I need to make a decision. I have no idea what to do. And I'm trying to pray to God, and I'm trying to ask God, but I have such a hard time discerning his voice. And I don't know what I'm doing with my life. And the second that I think of this option and the second that I think of this option, I'm instilled with fear. And oh, it's just so much. It's just so much. It's just so much. Sorry to rant to you guys, but that's how I feel. But yeah, I don't know. I just feel like we live in this world, and this world is so stressful because we're constantly consuming. So we're constantly comparing. We're on social media and we're scrolling, seeing all these people, seeing what we could be, seeing what we don't have. That's stressful because then we're like, oh my gosh, I don't have enough. I need more. And then, you know, we're seeing on the opposite end, we're seeing people who have less than us or different situations. And we're like, oh my gosh, I'm the worst person ever. Why am I not grateful for what I have? I could have it worse. And so then we're either like, you know, being too hard on ourselves, or we're comparing and, you know, we're after the wrong things. And also there's just so much noise in this world. There's so much, you know, go to work and work 40 hours a week, go to school, go to the gym, go, do, to-do list through the roof all the time. It feels like none of us can ever achieve anything because there's so much. And so we constantly feel like failures. We constantly feel defeated. And that's why I think that the whole like thing in the world right now of like, you know, work hard and chase your dreams and work and no excuses. I think it's unhealthy because you cannot do your best work when you are not rested. You need rest. If you are not rested emotionally, physically, mentally, I'm sorry, you can go to the gym 6 days a week, but you're going to face some repercussions. You need to really rest to be able to perform. And so the problem is we're never getting in this proper rest because what happens is we're constantly bombarded by work, do this, chase, money. And then, you know, when we don't do those things, we feel defeated and we put ourselves down. So then what do? I know what I do when I feel overwhelmed. I just give up. When I'm really overwhelmed and I have so much on my plate and I don't know how to manage it, it makes me just want to give up. And do you know what it makes me want to do? It makes me want to numb myself. And here's the problem with that. When we do things that just numb us, that's not true rest. Scrolling on your phone is not going to make you feel rested. It's not. In the moment, though, it gives us dopamine and it helps distract us from our brain and the anxious thoughts. But truthfully, scrolling on social media only causes more stress. And so we're not really tapping into the true parts of rest because we feel guilty for it. We're like, no, but I need to work, do. And then we get overwhelmed, overstimulated, overwhelmed. Then we scroll, or we do anything to numb the feelings, whatever that is for you. Maybe that's, a substance. Maybe that's your phone. Maybe that's food. Maybe it's even the gym. Anything in excess, I don't think is good for you. And so I just think that society standards of like, do, I don't think it's good. I'm sorry. I want to do, and I want to have dreams, and I want to have goals, and I want to work hard. But the whole concept of work hard, always work harder. I think we should work smarter. I don't think we need to burn our candles out when we're so young. I feel like I've burnt my candle out and I'm 24. Like all the time, I'm like, I don't know how I'm supposed to keep doing this for 25 more years till I'm 60 or 50 or whatever when I retire. I'm like, I don't think I can do it. I don't think I can. And I think it's because I've burned my candle and I haven't set good boundaries. So I want to talk a little bit about that. Whatever is stressing you out in your life, I need you to set good boundaries with that. If it's work, if you're overworking yourself at work, if you're working overtime, if you're never taking time off for yourself, if you're doing too much above your pay grade, above your position, stop. You need to set boundaries. You have a life outside of work. If it's in your relationships, if a relationship is emotionally draining you, mentally draining you, you're giving everything to that relationship and they're not giving back, you need to set boundaries and you need to remove yourself and give yourself the space to do things that fulfill you and fill your cup back up so you have the energy to give, okay? If it's, a goal, a passion, a hobby, whatever you need to do, allow yourself rest. Please, people, we need to do that because we're all too stressed out all the time. I know I am. I know I am. Okay, so let's talk about some of the best ways to deal with stress. Okay, the biggest thing that helps me with my stress is Jesus. I love the Lord, and He is at times the only way I feel peace in this world. So pray. If you are anxious, that's a sign you need to pray. And people always used to say that to me, and I was like, okay, yeah. But like genuinely, if you are feeling anxious, pray to your Father in heaven who loves you, who knows your heart, and who has peace that He can give to you. Anything you're feeling anxious about, just speak it out to Him. And I also feel like that's therapeutic as well. Read your Bible if you're a Christian. Reading the Bible always is good because it centers my mind on something other than me. And it centers my mind on what I value the most, which is the Lord, and on things outside of this world, things that don't overwhelm me, things that give me peace. So spend time with God. The next thing, let yourself relax. Please, people, lay on your bed, watch a Netflix show, color in a coloring book, whatever you need to do, let yourself relax and don't feel guilty for it. Okay. The next thing is try to get good sleep if you can. Obviously, we just talked about how when you're stressed out, it's really hard to get good sleep. But if you can get sleep, try to get good rest, 8 hours preferably. The next thing is make sure that you're fueling your body with food. That's something that I struggle with. When I'm stressed out, I either eat a lot or I eat nothing at all because my body refuses food. It just makes me sick to my stomach. And so try to focus on getting 3 meals in a day, healthy nutrients, things that are good for you. That's going to help your stress a lot. Exercise. Exercising always helps me, releases good dopamine. That's always a positive thing you can do. The next thing is relax your muscles and body, doing some deep breathing exercises. It's really important to remember, when we're thinking of a million things per minute, you can't deal with everything at once. So thinking about it isn't going to solve it. If you can just try to be present in the moment, so important. The next thing is the sun. Go sit in some sun. The sun always helps me, makes me feel good, and it's good for my mind and my body and all the things. The next thing is practice healthy coping mechanisms. Guys, healthy coping mechanisms are so important. My therapist always tells me, well, did you practice your coping mechanisms, Nicole? I'm like, okay, fine. But they really do help. Write out a list of some healthy coping mechanisms. And when you're anxious or stressed, try to do some of them. And I promise you that that's going to distract you and it's going to fulfill your mind and fill your body with good things and just recenter you on the present moment. And it's good. And then the next thing is to talk to a friend. Okay. And then this is one important thing. When I'm stressed, I don't want help I don't want logic. Okay, I'm just going to be fair. My boyfriend's so funny because he's always like, Nicole, like, you don't think with logic, you think with your emotions. And I'm like, hey, David, I do think with logic, but sometimes I am emotional and I can't think logically. So just let me be emotional. So when I'm really stressed out, sometimes the last thing I want is for someone to tell me, oh, well, just do this. Oh, we'll just solve it like this. Sometimes I just need to vent and I just need that person to hear me. So if you're talking to a friend or you're talking to a significant other, instead of getting upset at them if they give you solutions, instead maybe initially when you go to talk to them, say, hey, I really need someone to vent to and I'm feeling very overwhelmed and stressed out. But to be honest with you, I can't really handle or deal with the stress of like your opinion or your solutions. I know you mean them in a good way and you want the best for me, but I kind of just need to let some stuff out and just feel like I'm supported. And I promise you, if you tell someone that, they're going to support you. For anyone who's watching this that feels like they don't have their life figured out, that feels so much fear about the future, that feels out of control, that feels overwhelmed, that feels like a failure, frustrated, confused about their circumstances or where their life is going. But whatever you are feeling, just know that you're not alone. No one shows it on the internet, but I promise you, we are all stressed out. We are all going through something that is affecting us. And this life is hard. It's hard. And a lot of people may say, stop being the victim. Stop complaining. Stop talking about your mental health issues or the things you go through. And here's my response. You can be stressed out and anxious and still be grateful. You can be worried and have fear and still trust the Lord. Sometimes we know the right things to do, but sometimes we can't get ourselves to do them. And we don't need to guilt ourselves. Like that is something I struggle with is when I do start to get really stressed out or frustrated, I'm like, please help me be more grateful, God. And I feel ungrateful. And I think it is so important to practice gratitude in those moments and always think, do you know what? I have to think of the good things that I have. I have to think of the positives in my life. I have to think of, the things that I'm blessed with. But at the same time, that doesn't mean we need to ignore the challenges that we're facing. It doesn't mean that we need to ignore the problems and say, oh, just because there's good things, I'm not going to focus on the problems. It's not to say that you should obsess over the problems, but how do we get through problems? We deal with them. So I don't think that's wrong to deal with them. I don't think that makes people ungrateful. And if you feel ungrateful, ask God to make you more grateful, and He will. So I just want to remind you guys of that. And then I have a verse for you guys that I love, and it's a very special verse, very, very important. And this is just for anyone who's feeling weak and exhausted and stressed and burdened. Matthew 11:28 through 30. Come to me, all who are weary and burdened, and I will give you rest. Take my yoke upon you and learn from me, for I am gentle and humble in heart, and you will find rest for your souls. For my yoke is easy and my burden is light. When everything in this world is heavy and when everything around you feels like a war zone, go to God. Because this world is never going to fill you with peace. This world is never going to fill you with joy. But He can. And He can hold your hand amidst the struggles. Even if it doesn't feel like it, Even if he feels far, I promise you he's there. And he's working in my life and he's working in your life. And we have to trust that even amidst the stress and the anxiety that we all face. Well, man, I love you guys. Thanks for talking to me. Thanks for hanging out. That was actually a pretty short episode, but you know what? That's okay because I got to get to the airport. If you would like to support me, you can follow me on TikTok and Instagram at Elephants in the Room. You can also follow me on my personal Instagram and TikTok, Nicole.Donna. You can share this podcast on your story, share it with a friend, and also give it a rating. And I have such freaking exciting news for you guys. Next week, I have 2 special guests coming on my podcast. Yay! I'm not going to tell you guys who, but I'm so excited and you guys are going to be so excited. So stay tuned for next week. It's going to be a good one. It's going to be a good one. So yeah, I'll just close this episode out by saying, what elephants are in your room? My name's Nicole and I will talk to you guys next week.